So welcome to this C# support video for the second in the validation series. This time it's not a presence check, it's a range check. So this means that there is data provided by the user within a certain range, and you need to make sure that it's above or equal to the minimum or less than or equal to the maximum. So similar to our presence check, we've got a rating rather than a review this time. We can get a rating, and the default value is 50 out of 100, I suppose, if it's unrated. You can set a rating to anything between 0 and 100. So set rating will return a Boolean value, true if it's valid, false if it's invalid. And it's invalid if it's above the maximum value. It's valid if it's on or equal to the minimum or maximum value, but it's invalid if it's below the minimum range. So that's what we mean by a range check. It has to be within a certain specified range. This time, we haven't got the methods, we've only got the private attribute. Private, remember, means that only this class, methods within this class, can read or write from it. Other classes can't. Like your user interface, your Form 1 class can't access it. Right, let's get a get rating method. So get method, it needs to be public. No, not get method, get rating. The rating is an integer, so that's the return value. Doesn't need any parameters. It just needs to return the current rating, and the default value, I think, was set to 50. Let's see. It probably won't work because I haven't got a set rating yet. Yeah, let's see. So public, so other classes can access it. Bool, because it returns true or false, depending on whether or not it passes the range check. We provide one parameter, and we need to do some validation. So if our rating is greater than or equal to 0 and our rating is less than or equal to 100, then we can return true. But before we return true, because remember that breaks out of the method, you can set the rating to the rating, but be careful, we've got the same name for a parameter as an attribute. So we need to say this, which means the attribute belonging to the current instance of the product rating class, the variable that belongs to the current objects we're talking about, is set to the parameter that we provide when we call set rating. Will it work? We shall see. No, because it only returns a value if it's valid. So if it's not valid, we just need to return false so that we know it's not valid. Awesome. Okay, so notice what I've done here. This is like test-driven design. I've written some code that will automatically test it. In your project, you're expected to test by hand, but you could set up unit tests to get your project work automatically testing, and it could save you time in the long term when you do your Year 13 project. But the idea is you should always be thinking that the users of your project, the users of your code, won't necessarily give you the values that your code is expecting. You should design your code defensively so that if they put in invalid data, so in this case, smaller or bigger than the minimum and maximum respectively, your code should still be able to cope effectively.